We are here to put the spotlight on Ashley Carroll, Executive Advisor to Entrepreneurial Leaders with Vision. Hi, Ashley.
Hi, Sigrid. Great to be here with you again today.
It is so good to have you here. Now, I'm looking forward to finding out how finding solutions or solutions is your directive for us. Take it away and share with us, ask us questions, and see how we can respond to them. Finding solutions.
Yes, thank you. So, a simple way, my name is Ashley Carroll. Nice to see everyone and meet those of you who are new today. I consider myself, in a very simple way, a creative strategic problem solver. And maybe you don't like the word problem, think of it as a challenge or a block or a barrier. So many words can describe the same. And so I thought today we could focus on solutions. And the way I like to consider the solution that works best for me, always in my life and my experience, is driven through my heart and my soul. So I call it soul-utions. So I'm going to share a very simple and quick presentation, and we're going to have some really interesting discussion together today. So let me get started. If you can confirm, Sigrid, that you can see my screen,
Yes.
that would be wonderful. Okay, thank you very much. All right. So the first thing I have is a story, which I talked about stories yesterday. So now you get to hear one from me. So this is many years ago, at least 5, 10 years ago. I had a job where I did some work in lower income countries. In this case, I was doing work with the Ghanaian government education system. And we had a specific project where we were helping them with some reading and writing capabilities in their education system. And I went in at the end of the project to close it. And so I had many challenges throughout this project. And one of them that I had was one day I got a call from my, boss, so to speak, in Ghana. Not my boss, but they were the boss of the, let's say the office there. And he said, "Oh, I have this training today and I need $50,000 to pay all of the participants. And I need it immediately. I have to pay them today." And I said, "Well, first of all, it was my morning, which means Ghana at that time, I think was 5, 6 hours ahead, depending on the time of year that it was." And I said, "Okay, half your day is already gone, or more than half your day." And I had to send a lot of money, $50,000, not my own personal money. At the time I was working with the company, but I had to get the company to authorize that in a very quick way, which, if you've ever worked for corporations, is usually not simple to get something like that done in a quick period of time. So I was extremely challenged. So of course I said, "Okay, let me see. I'll do my best, right? I'll do as much as I can," and had some conversation trying to figure out other options, of course, with him, right? And so I had to sit down and really think about, like, okay, how can I do this? I talked to this person, in our procurement office about this. I talked to another person, about all different people. And I finally found the right person. I think it took me 2 to 3 people. I finally found the right person that I needed to. And I talked to them and I explained to them why the money was needed, why it was such an urgent request and so late, certainly. And, what did we need to do to get it done? Right. So ultimately, we did it. We did get the money there quickly, which was honestly an extreme miracle. And I'm not sure I've ever done that since then, and certainly not before that. So that was really challenging. But that was a huge challenge for me. I just walked into work and bam, this huge challenge for me that was not remotely easy to maneuver all the different humans, like Peter talked about in his segment, to get to the solution that I needed. So that's just a personal story that I wanted to share before we get into some solutioning discussion. So the reason, before we jump into our exercise, and we've talked about this quite a bit yesterday as well in the different sessions. I think in particular, Peter, if I'm remembering, brought up the question, asking the right question. Different people mentioned that yesterday. I completely concur with them. The right question can make a significant impact, not just in your business, but in your life. And then sometimes it's the right questions. Usually one question is not enough. So that's very important in my experience in business. And one of the uh, skills, let's say, that I've worked on developing for, I would say, a good 25 years. Okay, so I would like to take some time out for those who'd like to participate, and we have maybe about 5-ish minutes for that. So we might not come up with really deep solutions or get into the depths of major challenges, but I have two options for you to think through. So you can pick one. If you haven't something you want to share on both, you can. Just know we, in the interest of time, we don't have too much time together. But everyone can jump in, but I just thought we could spend some time understanding some gaps we might all have collectively together. Actually, it might be interesting to see if there's some similarities. And here's the way I thought about some key questions. What's a gap in a process? You have any process in your business that's been a challenge for you to find a solution for. Maybe this is something you've been dealing with for years. Maybe it's something that's just popped up in the last few months. Or if you want to think about what takes you the most time, like what do you spend the most time on that maybe is not just your product, right? If there's something that is you and you're the product every day, that might be your most time. But what's something you spend a lot of time on? Maybe you think you shouldn't be, and do you enjoy doing it?
Can I clarify, Ashley? So
Yeah,
these are two separate sections that we can pick one from,
yeah,
yes? Okay, so one is looking at where we see a gap in our own business in the processes that we have, one of them. Or we can take a look at what is it that takes us a really long time and do we actually enjoy doing it? That's the two things. We
right.
pick one of those.
Yeah, I mean, someone can share on both. Certainly, that's okay.
Okay,
I just thought I would give two options in case one didn't speak to someone and the other one
excellent,
did.
excellent. And so we
Yeah.
just think about this for a moment and then we jump in with an answer for you, with a
Yeah.
share. Yeah?
Yeah, just
Right.
share.
Right.
Free.
Anybody put their hand up to go first? Do we have anybody who would like to jump in and go first? Had enough time already? Yep, Peter, go for it.
And I think I've switched my microphone on. I'd like to go
Yeah.
for the bottom one. What takes you the most time and do enjoy doing it? What takes the most time for me is my client sessions, working with clients. And that is totally what I enjoy, which is why I've outsourced things like accounting and bookkeeping, because that's not my thing. So, yeah, straightforward. I like doing why I'm in business.
Yeah, that's part in the area of where I said if it's your product, let's say that's you, because that's probably natural. So I think about something more that you spend a lot of time on that you might not like. And maybe you've already addressed all that, Peter. Like you said, your accounting sounds like you didn't want to spend the
Oh,
time
okay.
on it.
Well,
You've already found a solution for that. Yeah.
writing notes after sessions. It's
Writing notes.
necessary. Do I enjoy it? No, but I wouldn't be without them. So it has to be done.
And you personally want to write them? That's why you say it's necessary, meaning you feel you have to physically write them?
Yes, because when I see a client next time, I need to be able to go back and see what did we talk about last time. So I need to know what we talked about.
Ah, okay. Well, there's definitely many easy solutions actually for you if you don't want to spend the time
There are
yourself and
AI
doing.
tools,
Yeah.
and I have a client who asks me to record it, and I use a note taker for that. And when I see the result it comes up with, I always find the need for me to add my personal comments because it only listens, it doesn't understand.
Right. I like to use them for actions. I find that AI note takers are very good at pulling out those kind of succinct, concise actions
Yes,
that came out of the
absolutely.
conversation. But certainly the understanding and the depth and the context of everything you might not get, depending on what there's so many options.
But but
Depending on
but
which,
not every session I do is very action based. It's more towards the coaching thing. If it's more the client's needs are more sort of in the therapy direction, it's a little bit more woolly what actions are there. There will always be something in after my sessions, but you know, I just don't want to rely purely on a machine. I like to add my own thoughts and perspectives.
Right.
It takes time.
That makes sense. Joanne?
Yeah, for me, what takes up most of my time daily is my LinkedIn activity. And do I enjoy it? Yes, I do. Sometimes it's I've had enough of it, but I do it because I'm reaching out personally to build a network. And I certainly have a thought process that someone might be able to do it for me at some stage, but it won't be a machine, because I know LinkedIn will put me in jail if I do that. But I also am very mindful of that I want to connect with them personally to make those connections to build the network. So yeah, I haven't come up with a solution of how to outsource that at this point. Maybe Lynette will be able to tell me how to do that.
I was gonna say we have Lanier here.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like the first thing that popped in my head was Lanier.
Deflect straight to Lynette.
Yeah, I mean, something I might offer, I don't know if this would be helpful. So something I might offer as we're like in the context of both of those discussions, I would say, I know there's just this big AI, and I just like probably y'all, I spend so much time thinking about it and how I want to work with it and what that's going to change and whatever. But one thing I do, I find AI can condense the time I need to spend on something,
Oh,
but I
yes.
am still able to include the Ashley touch. So, for example, if I'm writing something, I might use AI to help me kind of refine it, or, maybe I've written a paragraph and then I say, the flow of that is not wonderful. Could I spend 20 minutes and do that? I don't know. Or maybe not that long. I don't know. Right. I could get there myself, but it still sounds like me. It still is me. And even you can
Yes.
ask it, train it who you are and say, act like Joanne.
Yeah.
To act like Joanne and help me refine this in the word, right? Like telling it so specifically, act like, behave like is a very good way.
I have created my own chat commands for comments on LinkedIn and for connections. And so I've done that, and I've done a tone document. But I choose to spend significant time on LinkedIn. But you're right, AI has definitely condensed the time that it takes me to do that. But I'm not sure how to outsource that even further until I'm convinced someone will sound like me.
Let's join Demetria into this.
Sure.
And then we have three types of questions our participants here would like to have a solution to, and I'll chip in with what I have experienced, how you find solutions, Ashley. How about that?
Yeah,
Demetria.
that sounds great. Go for it, Demetria.
All I will add, I'm going to take the second question. What takes you the most time? So when I have a challenge, or I'm trying to do to find a strategic solution for something, I take most of my time to think about it. So there is a saying that if you have 6 hours to chop down a tree, you take 4 hours planning for it. So and I usually do that because I have to be a bit more concise in the work that I do as well. So I have to plan things. However, do I enjoy doing it? Yes, in the beginning, because I'm trying, it's I'm finding like a solution, and I love doing that for other people and for myself. But there comes a point where you start overthinking things, and or where the imposter syndrome comes in, and that's where you have to find the balance and to stop. So yes, I take my time to think a lot, but then I do enjoy doing it, especially in the beginning. But then it's just like finding like the balance, or where to stop overthinking about this, because otherwise it's going to take me forever. And I found that in order to do this, you have to find the boundary and put like a deadline to yourself. So you start thinking differently.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, coming from a different angle. When I was younger, I did in my career, I didn't want to plan so much. So maybe the opposite of you. But what I noticed in terms of the time, if it's helpful, for planning is like 50% inefficient or something. I don't know if that's the, exact percentage, but that's how it feels to me, because things are always changing, right? So your planning is always inefficient because you're not accounting for every possible thing ever that can happen. And something inevitably happens depending on what you're doing, right? That changes and you have to change on the fly or you have to change soon. So I would always consider that in the, when you say the amount of time you're spending, I would always consider that, something is going to change. How much is even, I don't know if it's like a project, for example, or it's with a client or something, that you're planning. But that is to me a huge area that you can actually add efficiency in your business is by, like you said, limiting that, but I might even live in it further. That's kind of been my experience. You need to plan to some degree, right? Like how would we all be here with Sigrid if Sigrid didn't plan for us? We wouldn't be here. And so obviously to some degree it's important. And the way I approach overthinking, if you can see if this helpful for you, is have I thought about this enough? Like, boom, that's the question. I ask my mind. Okay, I'm thinking. Did I think about, have I thought about this enough? And then that changes yeah, I'm thinking about this way too much. Okay, I need to step back and move on to something else. So that's what came for me. Thank you for sharing that. That's definitely a challenge in business planning, but
I think
not
it's
over
really
planning.
interesting, Ashley, that you've put the solution finding, those two questions on for us here to consider. And the majority, in fact, everybody who has put up their hand has gone to the second question, which reminds me of a session we had earlier, which is all about time, not having enough time. So when we look at that, what takes you the most time? So there's a lot of things around that time factor. My question would be to you, do you find that people often come up with something around time? And what's the first thing that you then jump to look at with the person?
Yeah, my experience, one of the top I guess I should say complaints or experiences is the lack of time.
Mm.
So that's what drove me to that question. It's almost always a lack of time, or I feel I need to do this specifically me, and it takes me so much time to do it, which I, like doing it, but it's making me work, so much, and I'm stressed, whatever it is, right? So almost always something that we do that we feel we need to do and we personally need to spend the time doing, we don't, or we can limit our interaction in and actually save time. So that was one of the reasons I thought, hey, let's talk about that together today. Because, yeah, that's a huge communicated barrier, I would say, in my interactions with clients.
So am I hearing that correctly? That when we are experiencing, oh, it takes a long time, it takes a lot of time, I don't really like it, that whole area, you can see that straight away as something that we're putting an emphasis on that doesn't need to be as emphasized. And you'll then explore with the individual what alternatives, other options might be. Did I correctly understand that?
Yes. Yeah, like we did a little of that, Sigrid, some different actions and who could do them outside of you, for example.
Excellent. Excellent. So tell us a little bit more what you wanted to share here as we conclude on this session with you.
Yeah, thank you, Sigrid. So I'm just going to share a little bit more about me because I was using today's session to kind of speak to what I do and show a little bit about that. So I'm just going to share a little bit about my method, which aligns kind of quite well with some of the other conversations we've had today. And so just two more quick slides together. So I call this the soulful solutions. So there's this like three-pronged approach to filter solutions through. Because the challenge I often see with people is the quick decisions that don't have enough thought, kind of deep thought considered. Like, for example, Joanne, you kind of brought that up with the name of your business, right? Like, have you thought deeply? Like, are you thinking into the future? Like, is that really what you want to call yourself? It's maybe once you've made it official, maybe it's hard to change. So be really thoughtful and consider and ask yourself probably multiple questions like you did with us literally today earlier. So, so I think about it through these different lenses. So the strategic lens, why does it matter? What's the vision for your business? Is it aligned to the vision of your business? If your solution is so incredibly different from where you want your business to go and what you do, maybe that doesn't make sense. And you should consider that when you come considering your solution. The emotional clarity, which is what Peter talked about, I would say a lot. He might not use these words, Peter, but speaking to the human part of the experience. So what does the human want? What's the impact of the organization for you, for the solution that you're making, for example? And what's the human element? Is this incredibly different? Are you going to have to incorporate some change management into the solution, for example, to help bring them along into that journey of why you want to do something different? And then, of course, there's the operational action. What can you do? Can you literally do it? Is it so incredibly different or so out there that it's not even possible? Maybe that solution doesn't make sense to you and would require too much money, too much time, and doesn't make the most sense for your business. So these are the lens I like to filter different solutions through, because I'm just in my brain making all these neurons going around, analyzing things in all these different ways through different questions. And so that's the approach I like to take. And then the last I have is an offer. So I am offering what I call a strategic snapshot. So I send you, it's about, I think, like 15 questions or so. I send you an easy form. It takes maybe 10 minutes to fill out with questions. And then I give you 3 priorities over the next 3 months. So I'm calling it the strategic snapshot. And that's what I was going to present today and share with you all. This is for Expo participants specifically, of course. And I'll send it back over to you, Sigrid. That's what I had for us today. Thank you all for your time, for participating together. That was
nice. Excellent, Ashley. Thank you. So do you have the special offer on your Expo booth? Is that available?
No, but I'll add it. I will do that.
Okay. Pop that into a brochure style, even a one-pager, and pop it onto your expo so people can reach it easily. And what we will make sure is guiding our visitors and exhibitors to go and visit your booth, as we do, and pop that special offer out there into the world for you. That's excellent. So you shared with us today in your session a bit about yourself, and in particular, how you look at solutions, how helping to find solutions. And I can say that I've had a session with you which was very exciting and different to find a solution that I needed before we went into the planning. I went into the planning of this expo, and it's come together, as you can see. So thank you. Thank you for this session, for demonstrating how and what you do, Ashley. Your spotlight was on Ashley Carroll, who is a wonderful executive advisor to entrepreneurial leaders with a vision. Thanks, Ashley.